Money on my mind, gotta hustle and grind. Financial literacy always on my mind. I'm stacking knowledge, no time to waste. Gotta invest smart, gotta keep up the pace. I'm reading books, learning all the tricks, studying the market, making calculated picks.
What's good, everybody? It's your boy Reckless Ray Dinero, and we are back at it again. It's the first week of the month. You know what time it is. It's time for those portfolio updates. But before we jump into that, I want to make sure that you've liked the video. I want to make sure that if you've been here more than twice, you're subscribed to the channel. Those of you who pre-subscribe just on like good faith, shout out to you. I appreciate those of you who subscribe, especially those of you that I meet in public. Like, that's awesome. You know, getting to network with people and having them tap into the content. Looking forward to seeing you guys down in the comments, seeing what you guys think about the stuff that we're talking about over here. Also, share this, because nobody wants to get rich by themselves. Don't hold the knowledge into yourselves. We are not coffee drinking hipsters with our favorite coffee place where we're the only one who knows about it. Let other people know if you're getting value out of this. Because if you're the only one who gets rich, your friends aren't going to like you, especially if you didn't give them the game. Now, the reality of it is most people aren't going to use the stuff that we're talking about over here. They just hear things and then, you know, ingest it and then never use it, and they're not going to make the necessary steps or the necessary adjustments for them to win. But at least you've taken the excuse of like, oh, you was doing stuff in secret behind everybody's back. Like, no, share it with your friends so that way they at least know. So that way when you come up, there's no questions asked, no excuses. But allergies today. We have some stuff to talk about because this is not going to be one of the greatest. Well, it's not that it's not going to be the greatest episode, but it's not a general episode where you get to beat your chest and you're winning. Sometimes you lose, and we're going to give the reality of it on this portfolio update because the market is getting beat across the board. I know a few of my other brothers in the high yield dividend space have also been talking about this. Like, I talk about stuff on my schedule. The rest of them are popping up like they're trying to live here. And I'm not that person. I'm not going to have an emergency show. I just have my shows and we talk about what's going on as it's happening. But one of the things we always do is we show the receipts, which a lot of the gurus and people don't. And I don't understand exactly why. But we're going to jump into it. It's ugly right now. Down 32%. 11 grand in the negative. Way below cost basis. Numbers go down. And they've gone down. There's red everywhere. There's nowhere that looks good right now in this screen. Now, total, we're eking by. We're eking by in total return. But like, when you look at this portfolio, it's like, why are you even existing? Like, but I tell people all the time, this is crypto, and I got to keep giving props to Wall Street Trapper. If you're not willing to be down $10,000, you're not going to ever be up $100,000. It's just not going to happen. The market's down. All my underlying assets are down. So what have I been doing? I have been buying. So today I got my Coney position, which you see is back in the ethosphere here. We went ahead and bought 100 Coney. Obviously, we bought it a little bit high, and we're down on that position too because I bought before lunch. Every time I buy before lunch where I live, every time it goes against me. I don't normally care because, like, at $10 for Coney, that position, fine about it. Whatever, I'm going to take it. But I could have got a better deal had I waited till lunch, but I was concerned because prices spiked over the weekend, and I was concerned that we were going to be on an upward swing again. So I was like, if I waited a little bit, but I did not wait till lunch. I did these buys probably an hour and a half, 2 hours before lunch. So yeah, that's where we're at. And but it's cool though, because we've been adding positions and we're buying like crazy. We have started to deploy margin, which is why you see down here in my cash and investments section, it is negative because we have deployed margin. And I have been easing my way into margin, but I know a good dip when I see it. And even if there's more dip, I got plenty more margin. This is tasteful margin. I'm not maxing out the margin because I don't want to get margin call, because then you just start losing shares. We're not trying to do that. But what we are trying to do is when we see these dips below 90,000, I'm trying to get additional shares. So where are we at with our positions on here? Because this is going to be a little bit different than Snowball Analytics because it hasn't updated yet. So because these trades that I did today have not closed, but we have hit our 100 for Coney. We've hit our 100 for Morrow, which is awesome. So what that means is Coney is week A, Morrow is, I think, week C. I was just looking at this. And while we have a target of 1,000 shares per position, that's the goal. So get them around about 1,000. So that way, every week as they roll around, we're getting a fat check every week, and then we back them up with our weeklies, which we are going to be making an adjustment tomorrow that I am going to go ahead and call it now. I'm going to telegraph my move. Right now we have YBTC. Obviously, everything is focused for the bull run, but I think that there's a more effective way to do this because I don't have a good pick for week A that I like that's narrative based, because this portfolio is going to be completely narrative based, and then we'll diversify out. But what we're doing is once these positions get to 100, with the exception of Misty, and the reason for that is Misty is our landing pad for our income. Super bullish on that. It's part of a lot of our plays. So this one, we were rushing to get to the goal. We have a goal of 1,000. We, as you can see, we are at 990 shares. We're almost at that coveted 1,000. And once the market turns around and we start getting those $3, $4 tasty payouts, that 1,000 shares is going to be doing the Lord's work on week D of the month. So Coney, we have that position solidified. So what we're doing is once we get to 100 shares, that then rolls into the next position, and we're going to do a wheel strategy with those. Obviously Misty spilling into Morrow. Well, actually, I think it might be the other way around. I'll have to look at how that works out. But I'm going to be making an adjustment here. So YETH is staying. I love my YETH position, even though it's down right now. We're going to keep buying. We haven't bought any of this dip. We will be tomorrow because I'm going to go ahead and do this month's Misty payout early. I'm just going to project it. I'm ballparking it. And this isn't a call. I'm going on the low end. I'm assuming it's going to be $1. It's been terrible. If we get over $1, that's cool. It's just going back to pay margin anyways. But I'm going to go ahead and get all the Misty purchase that I can, especially if the market is not bouncing back tomorrow and we have some sub $20 Misty. We are going to stack as much as we can. Basically, we're dragging that average down. We're below $30 for our average cost, for our cost basis, as you can well, you can't see it here, but it is. We were previously above 30 because, as you guys remember, I dollar cost averaged this position because it's my landing pad. So when it was up in the 40s, we were buying. So we had a cost per share of over $30. We are now under $30, which is great. It's amazing. I'm excited about it. I love it. Want more of it. We're buying Misty. And I understand a bunch of people are like, oh, like you're feeling bad. And like, you know, some of my Redditors that I converse with are like, oh, this post didn't age well. And I was like, I'll tell you, I'm still buying. So like it actually hasn't aged at all because I didn't liquidate the position, so I didn't secure a loss. What we will be tax loss harvesting, though, is this YBTC position because YieldMax has a collective crypto space play that's LFGY. And we're going to swap that out with YBTC. And what we're going to do is for my week A, I'm going to go ahead and go with Ybit for that play. Now it's because I don't have a week A that I'm confident in. I've thought about doing Tesla, and Elon's not focused on it. And if his focus isn't there, then like I don't know how well that stock's going to do. Like they're not having good performance on the autonomous driving in China. Competition's nipping at his heels, and he is very focused on fixing the United States of America, which kudos to him for that. But the expense and the cost, he's doing it at a cost to himself, both publicly and from a financial perspective, because his company is not doing well. So I'm not confident in that position. And from a yield chasing perspective, because Tesla does hold some Bitcoin, so it kind of fits in the narrative, but me wanting to get into that position would be 100% chasing yield. Whereas Ybit fits the narrative, little bit less yield, but I was looking at the numbers and I was like, no, this doesn't, I can tolerate that. Because I need something strong that I'm confident in, and I am bullish Bitcoin indefinitely. So Ybit will fit that position. I can switch out my weekly pair YBTC with LFGY, and we're going to rock out like that. We will be making at minimum the adjustment on switching out the Ybit tomorrow. We'll probably be buying the 100 shares of Ybit because it's around $10, so it's another $1,000. I'm giving myself $5,000 in margin to use for dip buying, and then we're gonna also start paying the margin back. Obviously, I will let the dividends do their thing while I'm focusing on throwing my paychecks into managing the current debt load that I have outside of this. But I didn't want to miss the opportunity. And if the market turns during the month of March, hopefully YieldMax capitalizes on some of those calls hit, and we get some decent pays and some upward momentum. Now that's all I've got for the income portfolio. It's getting to where it needs to get slowly but surely. As soon as this bounces back, we'll see what the payout's going to be on the back end of that, plus the appreciation of these positions, because this is a highly volatile portfolio. The only reason fiat's still here is because like it didn't let me sell these last dividend payouts, but I'm going to try and sell those also just to see if I can get rid of it. But we're looking good. It looks like we're going to have all the weeks, so that way we can kind of experiment with the flow of the wheel strategy, because like that way we'll be getting 100 share payout every week, which as these payouts creep up, because marathon the Mara payout has been pretty substantial. MSTR has been pretty substantial. I'm also considering doing a Palantir, but that's in the same week as the Marathon Digital play. And while I do hold Palantir, and I do not hold actual stock for Marathon Digital, I have more conviction for the crypto play than I do the AI play, even though I am those are my two things. But for my income portfolio for the bull run, I want it focused because I think there's going to be some good pay potential and growth in these position potential. And I'm also working on getting Marathon and Coinbase into my portfolio as well. It's just Coinbase is still $200 even like when it's doing bad. And at that price point, I'd rather buy MicroStrategy. But I have an update, and it's going to be in the title of the video. I'm going to adjust the title of the video before I upload this. So let's go ahead and jump into the long-term holdings, which is also looking pretty ugly. It's not as ugly as the other portfolio. So that's good. Soul Strategy is in a potential buy range. I just don't have any free funds to throw into this portfolio to do anything with, because I've been using margin in this portfolio too from the other portfolio. I've been transferring money over here to buy stuff. And what you're going to notice is we are no longer holding any MicroStrategy. And why is that? Because this morning, also before lunch, which really didn't matter because it would have just been less money getting kicked out, I sold all my MicroStrategy. And why did I do that? Because if we're going through these dips, I want to get my money's worth out of them. So I sold all of my MicroStrategy position, all 10 shares. I worked really hard to get those 10 shares. And then added it to the margin position that I had. I transferred some margin money over here and started buying MSTX. And why did I do that? MSTX is 2x long MicroStrategy. So the play here is I'm ratcheting up the leverage that the bull run, when it comes back and MicroStrategy bounces back, that I'm going to get my money's worth. I'll get my 10 shares back out of this and then some. And then I'll have a whole bunch left over because I'm going to, as far as the Bitcoin strategy goes, while we're going through this dip, and even if it's a bear market, my chunk of money that goes into my Bitcoin strategy will land in MSTX until the market turns around. We'll put it that way. I'm going to be indefinitely buying this until the market goes back up. And once it goes back up, this bad boy will shoot. The 52-week average ranges between, what was it? It was like $15 was where it bottomed out, up to $202. So this is getting technically 4x leverage on Bitcoin, because this is 2x leverage on MicroStrategy, and MicroStrategy is pretty much 2x leverage Bitcoin. That's the play that I'm making. I'm like, if we're going to be in a bear market, however long that is, I will just continue to stack MSTX until the market turns around. And then once the market turns around, this will run first, and I will get my money out of this and get back into my MicroStrategy position. And that's the way that I'm going to jockey this play. Also, if it runs over a year, apparently this at the end of the year last year paid out a gigantic dividend. So I'm like, cool, like let's stack this up while we're sitting here waiting. And once it the market rebounds and the bull run continues and we're all sitting there and beating our chests and happy again, this should be making me a really big grip of money. This is kind of the way that I look at things during the bear market. I'm doing the same thing in my crypto portfolio, which is also taking a beating. So everywhere I look right now, it's just red. There's no sunshine, none, because I am not rich. So I'm not in a wealth preservation mode. I am in a wealth acquisition mode. So my portfolios are extremely focused. The only things, my DeFi technologies position is amazing. Like I can't even talk about that. Like, if you guys were listening when it was 60 cents, I was talking about this at 60 cents. It's now at $2.32. We've already taken our money out. We're on house money with a little bit of extra profit because we're buying this down to 250 shares. And yeah, I'm super excited about where I'm sitting with that position. Very pleased with it. And then Soul Strategies, I might be putting some more money into that position since we're down again. I technically hit a spot where I could have been on house money and I just did not pull the trigger fast enough, but I think Soul's coming back. And this actually is a little bit below where I bought in at. So like if we get a good dip, I might sell off the rest of this, which is up pretty heavily. And we're on house money, and throw it into that to give me a little extra kicker over there for when the market rebounds. Palantir, I didn't buy enough when I had the chance. It's below 100 now. Probably going to start trying to get some more acquisition going on Palantir, because like I did have a target of trying to get to 100 shares, and I think I'm going to have to readjust that down to 50 just because I don't necessarily, like, during a Bitcoin bull run, I don't want to put $8,000 into this position that could have gone into a crypto position that's most likely going to outperform this position. But I do like Palantir. I am going to get some more. We're also looking at, after we start this wheel strategy and get it going, for the diversification, Roundhill has a weekly Palantir payer. So like we are looking at potentially doing that also, because we want all the paychecks. So the next thing I want to look at is going to be, nope, I'm going to have to do this the hard way, is going to be Snowball Analytics, so that we can get the context for the income portfolio, because that's everything. And the thing that needs to be understood is every month isn't good. Like, the people that only show you when they win, they don't show you what they go through, like what they have to navigate. Like, yeah, if you start getting numbers in your portfolio and the numbers go down, you get big red numbers, and you gotta sit there and not panic. And honestly, understand that if you're highly convicted about whatever it is that is going against you, so crypto going against me, I've been doing this with just cryptocurrency, not in the traditional finance portfolio at all, for over a decade. So I'm used to seeing red numbers. So seeing red numbers in my traditional portfolio and having access to margin, I'm like, cool, I know what to do with this. So it gives you some additional I want to share the no, I don't like that. What? Huh. How did I do that last time? That's weird. No. Oh, that's no fun. Okay, we'll just do this. Boom. Oh, that you get the infinity screen with that. So we'll go back to Charles Schwab. And then we can jump over here. Okay, there we go. There we go. So as we're looking over here at the let's just pull this out. Also, it's a little quick shout out to Tom Billy there. One of the things that I watch, I like that show. So you're wondering like what's going on behind the scenes. Like, I'm always doing research. I normally throw something like that on while I'm doing my end of month finances. And it's a great show. So shout out to Tom Billy. Anyways, so I've renamed this portfolio. It's the high yield crypto strategy. I will probably add a link for those of you who want to follow this on Snowball Analytics. You can follow people's profiles or portfolios. It's getting beat up bad, but the total profit, we're not down that bad. We're literally only down 0.3% total profit. And total profit, for those of you that don't know, is when you get paid the dividends, that's not calculated in the brokerage. So you also factor in like, hey, you got that money. Now, if I would have reinvested all of it, we might have a different story, but like we use it for other things. So namely paying down our surprise debt that we got. But where we're sitting at right now, like these numbers fluctuate, but like right now they're projecting at $28,068.95 over the next 12 months. We'll see what that looks like, because this gets adjusted every time you get paid out. So like running through a bear market or a bearish market like what we have right now, a bearish dip where you're getting payouts that are kind of coming up a little bit lacking, numbers aren't going up, the market's against you. It adjusts your goal, because right now it's saying, oh, this is achievable in 2 years, but also it's projecting $26,130 right now, and my goal is $60,000, because like at that point I become work optional, because that'll cover all my bills. and reinvestment because I do factor in with my budget for the retire early people. I factor in investing into this income play. So it's not like I'm just going to sit here and just ride dividends to zero. It's like you're reinvesting. That includes into the income portfolio itself because you got to feed the machine, and buying actual assets along the way as well. So that way, if you come up, and the reason I do the actual asset base also is because if you come up short on a month, then you are in a scenario to where you have to sell something off, and you would probably want to have something to sell off that's not the thing that's producing income, because you could doom spiral that way if you're solely existing on high yield dividends or dividends in general, and you come up short and you have to sell the thing that was producing the dividend. Well, like now you're putting yourself in a position to more likely come up short or shorter the next month. And then you're in this doom loop where, like, if you're not budgeting in reinvesting, then you're going to have problems. Because, like, not reinvesting 1 month and selling off out of a different portfolio that's not the income portfolio to cover your expenses, and that's if you're living on the edge of your expenses, I do not recommend that. Like, if you're going to leave the workforce, I recommend targeting 3x what you need to do that. So, like, if your income is $50,000, you should probably target $150,000 and then live off $60,000 to $70,000 and be comfortable, and then invest all the rest of that. So that way you have things for when stuff comes up short. Or if things come up short, you're just investing a little bit less, but you're still well above what you need to exist. Like, that's kind of how you can, like, ride this out and never go back to work if you don't want to. Me personally, I'm always going to have some sort of work, especially if I'm in the States. Like, there's nothing that I want to do here regularly where I'm like, yo, like, I'm going to continue to not work if I'm here where I can work. But, like, when when I start traveling, if I'm in a place for a month, I'm probably not going to work. I'm going to be like wakeboarding, paddle boarding, swimming, doing activities, going dancing, stuff. Because most other places, like the United States, is weird. Because, like, we, like, culturally, like, we're not doing a bunch of stuff. Like, other places, like, TV is not a focal point of existing there that aren't, like, Western cultures where, like, they're conditioning you to be sedentary. Like, people do things. So, like, I'll go places where people do things, and then I'll just do things because that's going to be the cultural norm. I'm going to acclimate, integrate, and do all the stuff, and I'll be doing stuff. And then when I come back here, I will most likely be in doing stuff mode, and I will work and get me a little piddly job for the time that I'm here. And so I have something to do, and I'll be working or building something, like something. But the thought process of just sitting around doing nothing and watching TV, especially if I'm going somewhere where, like, the water's clean, the air's clean, the food's clean, and there's a bunch of activities and stuff to do in clean water, like, I'm going to do those things. Like, it's just a different set of standards. But yeah, that's where we're at. And I like to do the Snowball Analytics. Shout out to them because it gives you that context and perspective. There's one other piece that I wanted to throw in here before we get you guys up out of here. Let's stop sharing that. Let's go back to this. Jump back over here. Okay. So there's one other thing that I wanted to talk to and I talked about it yesterday in the financial update, but I'm going to bring it back and keep beating the horn on this. So this year, our brokerage account is at, as we saw, so right now it's at $28,090.50. Now, that's obviously you take the margin out of that, but that's where we're at right now. Now, in 2024, in February, our brokerage account was sitting at $6,069.07. And I just want to throw that out there because, like, things are moving in the right direction. Like, there's pullbacks and move ups. Nothing goes up in a straight line. And the income portfolio, this is the other thing that I throw in as a caveat since it's based on high yield dividends. Growth isn't even what I'm looking for. It's consistent income. And we have been pretty consistent about being over $2,000. I think this month it might, because we're dragging in the poor performance at the end of last month into this month. If the market doesn't turn around, well, I'm getting ready to get my Misty payment. So I don't know that we'll be over $2,000 this month, but we will be over $1,000 this month. And I'm like, yo, like that's, if we're only having 1 month, if we have the hiccup, I'll ride with that. Couple of other caveats is like moving forward as we're getting to these positions, because I've got 10 more shares of Misty to get before I get to my goal. I'll probably keep dumping money in it up to 1,200 shares. And then I believe that when the market returns, we will be in profit from a position growth standpoint. And I'll have 200 shares that I can play with, that I can, either do covered calls to generate some more income or sell off and swing trade out of that 200, but keeping the bare minimum for the position, 1,000 shares. We'll see how it goes, because it's like that position specifically. Well, I mean, we might change the strategy to where we land the money elsewhere, with the exception of what's going towards the Bitcoin strategy. Also, we'll see what it is. Because I mean, when everything's up, it's like, what do you buy? But like, we're also going to be looking at diversifying into other projects that are doing well, that have a lot of upside potential, such as the Palantir play, because that is also a very volatile stock. I look at the underlying, and if the underlying doesn't have that volatility, or it's volatility going one direction that isn't up, I'm not gonna use that stock, because you will get less income play off of it. But there's a lot of options out there, and like we're also looking at doing portfolio stabilization plays as well, because now we're getting to the point to where it might be time to start little pre-seed, like throwing a little bit at that every go round, and making sure that we're getting some like QDTE, RDTE's been paying really well as well. Those are, in my opinion, great. They're not nearly as volatile as any of the stuff that I'm currently in. So like that'll be a little bit of a calming thing for me. And they're holding their value, and they're not experiencing the NAV erosion, which I've been kind of sidestepping it because I'm very focused on Misty, and like that hasn't been really exposed to that because of the bull run. And so that's another reason, aside from being a crypto bro, I'm like, hey, during the bull run, you might be able to sidestep NAV erosion. It's one of the things that we might be able to do. We'll see. But yeah, so that's what we've got. That's the updates that we've got for the portfolio. Hope you guys have enjoyed it. Hope you guys stuck around till the end of the video and got something out of it. I know that I'm probably going to post this on the Reddit forum, so I'm sure I'm going to get comments that I'm a little bit long-winded. I'm long-winded for the community that's over here, specifically. Like the people that rock with me. Like, I'm not getting paid to be here. So I'm going to do this the way that I want to do. It's a documentation, not necessarily I've got something to sell you. It's just, this is just kind of what it is. I'm not making any ad revenue off this channel. It's not monetized. So I'm going to do things the way I want. But I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, definitely tap in, lock in with me. There's plenty of room over here in the Wolf Pack. We got ourselves a nice little community where we talk about stuff. We're working on bringing the live streams back that are going to be strictly bag talk focused. And once we do that, like, we have people come up and chat it up, and we talk about money and, making ourselves better. So like, share, and subscribe. That's what we need. We want to get out in the algorithm. People need to see this. And shout out to all my other YouTube brethren that are in the high yield space. Pay Me in Dividends. He's dope. Also, I listen to some of his stuff sometimes. Dividend Nomad, always tap in on his stuff. Super, super dope dude. Pretty straightforward. Also shows his portfolio. I like the people who actually show their real numbers. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I think it's kind of weird to me when they don't, because it's not that big a deal. Like, I mean, I don't know, maybe like my little portfolio, like I don't care. Like people just don't know want people knowing what they got. But mad respect to the people who show their faces and their portfolios and, you know, give the business as it is and talk about the good and the bad, like, because it's not all good. And I understand that that's the reason that people don't like these products, because people become very zealotous about it. They become evangelical, and they want to act like it's the bee's knees and this is just something that everybody needs to do. Like, I don't think that crypto is something that everybody needs to do, and crypto has changed my life, and I think it's the greatest thing ever, and I think it's where the ball's going, and I believe that that's going to be the new elite class. That said, it's not for everybody. Like, everybody can't survive that market. Everybody doesn't like waking up and can just look at a $10,000 red number on their screen and be like, okay, cool, we need to buy now because I feel bad. Got to buy some more, because it doesn't feel good. Just want people to understand that. It does not feel good. It's part of the process, though. Like, you got to have the down numbers to see the up numbers, the big ones. So it is what it is. You got to find your lane where you're comfortable with those risks and that volatility, and then you make the moves and navigate accordingly. Till next month, people, this has been the February 2025 It's February 2025 portfolio update. Obviously, I do these in one take. I'm not editing that out. And I'll see you guys next month with the March portfolio update. It's your boy, Reckless Raiden Arrow. Until next month.
Money on my mind, yeah. Focus, got no time for games, nah. I don't play it, I'm all about that financial literacy. Investing in my future, building generational wealth. Dollar bills, they be calling my name, but I ain't chasing fame, I'm chasing change. Learn the game, now I'm playing it smart. Putting my money to work, it's an art. I'm stacking paper, building my own empire. No more living check to check, I'm getting higher. Investing in stocks, real estate, and more. Gotta secure the bag, that's what I came for.